Hello and welcome to Suddenly Single, the new and hilarious dating podcast.
Where we're going to get our celeb mates to tell us about their dating disasters.
We're also going to have a few experts in the studio to tell us where you and I are going wrong.
Come on, and I don't think you've got enough makeup on.
I need the sun, I need inspiration, I just want to give.
So this week on Suddenly Single, we're joined by Sacha, who's straight out of Married at First Sight.
And we'll be finding out what happens behind the scenes and who you will be spending Christmas with. Who is it?
It's my dad.
Of course.
I just want to give. Just want to get out of here.
So, Sacha R. Jones, which I like to call you because I'm now one of the 109,000 people following you on Instagram.
Pleasure, thank you.
So I have been a massive fan of Married at First Sight. I've watched it from the beginning. Tim has caught on because the title stands for itself, right?
Yeah. Very intimidating show to be on, though.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's something you don't really think how scary it'll be until you stood outside that chapel about to walk in and think, I'm going to marry a stranger. Then it hits you.
And as you walk up the aisle, how are you feeling? Remind us of how you felt.
So right up until that moment, I was like, I'm going to be like really excited. I'm going to get to the top. I'm going to chat his ear off. I'm confident. I'm not scared at all. Then I'm standing outside the chapel holding my dad's hand. And then I was like, nah, I can't do it. I can't do it. What am I doing? And I'm walking up the aisle and I just remember seeing the back of his head. And then he turned around, smiled like massively at me. And at this point, I am still petrified, to be honest. So I have no first initial thoughts. Like afterwards, welfare said to me, there was like, oh, he's tall, isn't he? And I was like, he's tall. He's 6'2". I don't even notice because I was that pumped with adrenaline and fear. I was just like, let's get this done. Let's get this over with. And then it weren't until the next day when we went our way to our honeymoon when I was more relaxed that I was like, actually, he's really fit.
Well, yes, that was pretty obvious. You two got on pretty well from the start. But did you not even, during the sort of wedding reception, etc., you were still too pumped to really notice anything about him?
Yeah, I just remember seeing his teeth because he's got like proper white teeth and noticing his teeth and thinking, are they regal? Apparently they am. And yeah, that was it really, because I didn't even notice his height. So there was no initial first thoughts. And obviously being abstinent was a big, scary thing to feel like I'm going to have to tell him I don't want to sleep in a bed with him. Because I'm Married at First Sight, usually they'll just spend the night together, whether they sleep together or not, like intimate, they will share a bed. But that was still too much of a boundary for me and too much of a no-go. I was like, I've literally just met this man. There's no way I am letting him sleep next to me in bed tonight.
But surely they told him that before you got married, or do you think it was a genuine shock to him?
No, I think it was a genuine shock to him, a genuine shock. I don't think they expected me to be so firm on it.
Yeah.
Because when
not
there was literally, I think they thought I was going to be like, all right, not realising how serious I take that boundary.
Were you surprised at how much publicity that got? Your stance on that?
I can't believe how much hate it got.
Really?
Really?
Everybody hated me for it.
Why?
I was like, why do they care? Just because they thought I was making a big deal about it and it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And there was like, oh, you're not. Well, I obviously said celibate at the time till Paul corrects me and says you're actually abstinent. I didn't know the difference. But everybody was like, you're not celibate, you're just single. There's no difference. Oh, and then there was who does she think she is? And, oh, Ross is lovely. Why would she treat him like that? And everybody just had a huge issue with my abstinence. But casual sex is actually just such a norm in this generation. So I think production did just really love that I was abstinent and it was different. But then some viewers just thought the complete opposite and said, oh, he kept talking about it. But I had to talk about it. That was the whole point.
And where does that come from? Because we met your parents on the show, very happy together. They're only 50?
Yeah, 50,
and you're
52.
29?
Yeah.
So they've been together since when? School?
I know they've been together 30 years.
Okay.
30 years, a long time.
Yeah.
And I think for me, so on my dad's side, I do have a Romani Gypsy background. And I think some of them values still kind of appeal to me in a way. We don't have anything to do with the community or anything like that anymore. But I think that lifestyle is still something that I think I would enjoy. And I think there's a lot of morals and values I agree
Which is
with.
good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Well,
think
I mean,
you
they're
should-
Christian values, aren't they?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, exactly.
What did your parents, talking about Christian values and respect, and your how did your parents feel about when you first said, listen, I want to go on this TV show, I've been in touch with them, you've got to be part of it. What was their, did they watch the show anyway? Were they aware of it? Did they know what they had to do?
So they always knew that I was thinking about it, because for a good while I was like, if I'm still single at 30, I'm applying. I'd said it for ages, so they already had an idea. But I got to 29 and it just felt right after my last boyfriend. And it had been like 9 months since we broke up, and I kept seeing the advert after the episode saying, oh, apply now if you want to be part of it. And then I was like, do or don't I? I'd ripped the application. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. Maybe I'm not ready yet to be married. And then something just hit me one day and I was like, I keep saying that I am not going to sleep with anyone until I meet my husband. So if I keep speaking like that, I am ready for a husband. Right. So why not just apply now? I applied, and it was apparently the day before applications closed.
Wow.
And I heard off them the next day, and then it was like bang, 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 bang. This was December. They went, you're getting married in January.
Wow. It was that quick of a turnaround.
That quick, yeah.
And were your parents happy to be part of the show because they were happy that you might meet somebody?
Yeah, so...
Did you see from his eyes, the reaction when that because I know you said you pumped with adrenaline, but you must have been looking at him to see what's going on.
Well, my dad, the whole time, I says, Dad, walking down the aisle, if you like him, squeeze my hand once. If you don't, squeeze it twice. Yeah. I was that pumped with adrenaline, I don't even know what he did. But I did keep looking at him, and he was doing this. He was going.
Yeah.
They don't show that, but he was going.
Good.
So I was like, so I did see him keep looking lovingly, and he approved. And he was always like, as long as he looks like a bit of a bodybuilder, I'll be happy.
I was going to say that, because when your dad came in, it was almost like a challenge, but it was how they bonded, wasn't it? Your dad went, do you want to go to the gym?
Really?
Yeah.
Right, so that
and
was
they went, and he was making him bench press and lift weights. And
my dad got quite a bit of hate for that as well.
Why?
Because some people thought that my dad was making him prove himself,
No,
or my dad was making him train too hard. But that's just the gym, and there was bonding and connecting over the gym. Like, it was a mutual interest. So obviously they're going to go to the gym together. What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
And my dad does train people really hard and intense, but people who like the gym like that.
Yeah, of course.
So,
You could have been fly fishing and it would have been a different scenario.
Yeah.
Once you've done the commitment and you're there, how long is it? Do you have any time off camera, or is it 24/7?
we do actually get a lot of off-camera time that most people don't realise, because they genuinely want you to connect with your partner and fall in love. You do have a lot of time off-camera, so you'll have a set. I mean, apart from the dinner parties and commitment ceremonies, they're like really, really long days.
Right.
Other than that, you'll have like a set few hours a day to like do something, and then after that you can literally go and do whatever you want. Like me and Ross used to go out for food all the time. You get one day off a week and we just stay in bed and watch films. So you do actually get a lot of off-camera time.
That's amazing, actually, isn't it? That you get that chance to bond properly.
Yeah.
So it's not all artificially led. There is
No,
breathing
definitely
space.
not. Definitely not. It's not like Love Island as well, where there's like cue balls in the rooms, and that you don't. And
Really?
Yeah, no,
So
you don't have that. Once the camera team have gone, they've gone. And you've got your privacy, which I think is actually quite a blessing, because you don't get that in a lot of reality TV.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm fascinated by the fact that you felt that you needed to go on a show like that, because you're attractive, you're young, you're obviously quite bubbly, and you can chat to people. How were you not meeting somebody that could be a potential husband?
I think for me, like, my values don't align with my generation. I think most people are just looking for a fling now.
Yeah.
And I'm not really respected for who I am. It's more just like what they see. Do you know what I mean? They don't want to pursue me, and that's what I was struggling with. That I've got very traditional values, that I am abstinent, and I just thought if I could put my trust in the hands of the experts, maybe they could find me someone whose values aligned with mine.
Were you on dating apps? Because we discuss on this show all about dating apps, don't we?
Yeah.
All about where's a good place to meet. Should you meet them in the person? Should a friend recommend them? Or should your parents recommend them? Arranged marriages. There's so many ways to meet somebody. Did you do the app?
So I have done like in the past, like years ago, but I weren't on them very long. I feel like you'll meet up with somebody on there, you'll have a drink, and then you just never hear off them again.
Right.
Because most people do just go on them to meet up for a hookup, and because I'm not that way inclined, then it's like, well, what was the point in that?
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? So I didn't have much success personally.
So I guess the thing with Married at First Sight is most people that go on it are genuinely looking to find love and to get married and
Well, are
have
they?
children, etc. I think, having watched it, and you'd know better than me, that more are than aren't.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
So somebody that doesn't watch it regularly,
Yeah.
Where are we now in the situation? You got 3 kids together? Are you married? And what
I've got 2 cats.
Tim, a bit-
2 cats, even
Two
better.
cats.
That's even more serious. You mentioned that you've got 109,000 followers on. Is that TikTok, Instagram?
Instagram, yeah.
Just talk me through that. You go on a show, you're not necessarily known before. Does it just explode by the time you've come out, or can you see it incrementally going up every day? And also, what is it like having 109,000 people that have invested in you and have an opinion about you?
Yeah, then they've got some opinions.
And they can publicly tell you what they think, or even discuss you without you being involved in it.
Yeah, that's a bit crazy. Like, we finished filming Married at First Sight, I think it was like 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Maybe a little longer.
ago, wow.
Yeah. So you kind of have to keep it quiet for that whole time as well, which is quite difficult. And then as soon as it's on, you see like your following kind of go up slowly, and it's like the interest is slower as well. And then now, the more deep into it we are, the more invested people are, the more people are watching it, then it just goes, all of a sudden it just skyrockets.
Right.
And for me, it was after I confronted Alex about his behaviour towards the women, my following just went boom. So at the
Well,
minute,
you also pointed out the fact that he didn't behave like that with men.
yes,
And
100%.
that I think is why you were, well, for me, you were amazing.
yeah.
I think it's really amazing that somebody of your age is actually standing up for morals and values. We had a swimmer on, Michael Gunnings. He is exactly the same, very beautiful. And he said, the thing is, I'm looking for one partner. I don't want to be with multiple people. And that really does swim in the face of everything that, you know, he called it my community are like. And I think, why shouldn't you stand up for your own morals and values
Yeah.
the same way? And you're not the only one. And it only ever takes one voice for other people to say, actually, I don't do that either. And I don't want to do that. So well
Yeah.
done you.
Thank you. I think
so
people
well done.
just like to hate, they enjoy it. And one of the things Welfare pointed out to me, we have a welfare team.
So what exactly is that? Somebody on set the whole time, or
So if-
afterwards?
Well, they're on set the whole time. It's the person you contact if you're struggling mentally, or, you know, the warn you about things coming up or any of that. Someone to talk to, really, mainly. And then after the show, it's someone you can call or text. And you do have a proper psych if you want to arrange a psych chat. But Welfare do call us and talk us through the episode that's coming that day.
Right.
Just to warn you of like any backlash you might face or anything like that.
We
so
need
that's
that
their
for
job.
this.
People love to hate someone, so I'm the next one.
Right.
I'll just
Well,
ride the wave.
Forewarned is forearmed, but I think you've got enough resilience and common sense to know that you can't take it personally. Even though
Yeah.
it's about you. It isn't about you. It's
Yeah,
about them.
absolutely. And I think finding my faith as well after the experiment has helped me a lot. Like just knowing it's part of God's plan, trusting God.
Yeah.
God will deal with it, because it's quite hard not to retaliate sometimes. Sometimes I don't do the best, but I can sometimes be pushed too far. But for the most part, I'm really like, God will take care of it. Do you know what I mean? So I think being able to lean on my faith
And
helps.
at the minute, you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
This too will pass. In another
Yeah,
couple of months, you will see
course.
everything completely different.
And then I'll be sad it's over, I think.
Yeah, well, maybe
I don't think
there's-
it's going to be over for you.
Yeah. Now, somebody that we trust in is Jo Emerson, who is a fantastic confidence coach, and she's come in from Paris directly to speak to you. Can we get Jo in?
We flew her in.
Well, she
Here
came
we
in on. No, she came in on the posh train, Eurostar.
Just wanna get, just wanna get out of here.
Jo, what an amazing story to be presented with, that you're so young, in the middle of a show, and then all of a sudden you're getting 110,000 followers on Instagram. Have you got any advice?
Well, I mean, not that this amazing woman here needs any advice because she's completely bossing it. But, you know, I think when you find fame very, very quickly, well, fame finds you very, very quickly, I think the best thing you can do is ground yourself. And you've said that, you know, you've got people who are keeping you strong.
Why are people so nasty? But I used to live in America for a few years and on a big TV show, and thankfully it was before Instagram, but you still got a feeling of what people thought of you. In America, they love people that do well.
They do.
They actually celebrate the fact, and celebrate you and want to know how you do it because they want to do it. And there's this real competitive feel, but at the same time, we're all in the same race. Whereas here, it's like, oh, well, tall poppy syndrome. As soon as you get a bit famous, they want to cut you down.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the press have certain types, parts of the press have a lot to do with that.
But social media is toxic.
Social
as well,
media is
can't it?
toxic. Here's the thing, though, right? Hurting people hurt people.
Yeah, someone said that to me,
Right,
I think yesterday.
Oh, I
What,
like
say that again?
Hurting people hurt people. I.e., if you're not hurting, you don't want to hurt anyone else.
I see.
It's your pain.
Right, okay.
It's your pain. It's your dis-ease with yourself.
Never
Your
heard that
inability.
before. That's good.
Your inability to be happy with yourself that's being reflected out. And rather than these people looking at their own stuff, the hate's being sent out. And, you need just to have a very thick skin, which you clearly got.
How will you approach dating again? Because now you have celebrity attached to your name.
Well, first and foremost, there would have to be Christian because my faith is just so important to me now, and I just don't think they'd ever get it if there wasn't.
Right.
Or at least open to God or the idea of my beliefs. And I think the Christian moral code appeals to me in a human as well.
There must be Christian dating apps out
Well, apparently there is. Maybe I need to be the face of them. Maybe I need to be the face. So yeah, first and foremost, that's a 100%. And then, I mean, maybe someone within the industry as well, so they also got it. But
They can understand
I think
it.
I'd need someone really supportive that could understand that sometimes when I am getting a specific load of backlash from something, I might not be myself. I can handle it, but I'm still might just be a little bit more on edge or a bit more, I need a bit more tender loving care at that point. So yeah, just someone really supportive.
Do you think that, you've gone through this tumble dryer of a TV show and there's all this stuff going on and you're meeting all these new people and making lots of new friends. Do you feel more or less lonely now?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
That's a great question.
I'd say less, but because my people, I would say my family and my friends are like so quick to support me. So as soon as they think I'm not myself or they've noticed a lot of backlash or anything like that, straight on the phone. Sacha, you're amazing. Sacha, you got to get through this. And the girls within the show as well, we're all in a group chat and we are so supportive of each other. Like we constantly big each other up. If it's been a hard episode, we're straight in the group chat, like encouraging each other. And, we know each other behind the scenes as well. Right. So that's extremely helpful that you've got someone that's also been through it. So I'd actually say less lonely. I don't think I ever felt lonely.
Just in the sense of being, when you have fame attached to something, you can only experience it through your eyes. Even though you can tell your mate afterwards, then that's the lonely bit.
Of course,
you're going, actually, I went to a nightclub the other night and I had to leave early because there was all those people around you, whatever. That kind of makes you be alienated.
Yeah. And some people can also, I think, when you're making it, you're having a hard time, think, oh, gosh, if that's your biggest problem. Yeah. Oh, it must be so hard being you, getting loads of DMs. Do you know what I mean? Which I get, I understand. But also they don't understand how overwhelming that can be and how the context of their messages can actually have an impact on you.
Has the show changed you? Has getting married at first sight to someone changed you as a person?
I think it's definitely made me a bit more self-aware.
In what way? What are you aware of?
That maybe I need a bit more therapy.
Well, we could all do with more therapy.
But like going on the show, I thought that I didn't have trust issues from being cheated on in the past. I thought, I would never have any issues with jealousy or any, because I'd had a lot of therapy. And this is the great thing about Married at First Sight, because like we said, it's a condensed marriage, is it tested me in ways where I had to trust Ross. You saw a scene with me getting upset over a photo of him and Lacey. And it highlighted to me, you have still got trust issues, they're still there.
So how quickly did you think, this can really work?
To be honest with you, I'd say on our way to the honeymoon, the day after the wedding.
Well, that's good though, isn't it? That you know your emotions.
Yeah. Well, I just thought I mean, obviously I didn't know too much about him then, but it was when I started to like think, oh, I fancy him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then on the honeymoon, and you can imagine in that location as well at Barbados, so romantic. I was like, I really fancy him, and then he just
He
always
was quite fit as well, wasn't he?
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
a lot of
gorgeous.
bodybuilding
Yes,
going
he's
on
very
there.
fit.
and he was a bit
Yeah.
chavvy, and I love chavs, right? And then I noticed he had TNs on at the airport, and I was like, bit of me, that is. So he was perfect, and I was like, I think this is going to be good.
But you also, I mean, you had a terrible row one night, didn't you?
Yes, we
Yeah.
did.
So there were bumps.
100%, yeah. I think, it's a difficult one because I think everybody has flaws. And one of Ross's flaws, actually, believe it or not, can be emotional regulation as well.
No, you can see that because he went from 0 to 100. 1 minute, he's totally Mr. Perfect, and the next he's packing his bags. I
Yeah.
mean, what, how did that?
Exactly.
It did. It went from 0
I
to
think
100.
for Ross, right, I think he can be quite, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I think he can be a people pleaser maybe. And a lot of times would maybe not voice to me that he doesn't like something. Or
So
he
it was a
doesn't
build-up.
A build-up, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's just
Right.
a
A
Resentment.
small
lash out.
thing tips
Boiled
it.
over.
Whereas I would actually rather him say, Sasha, you know what, don't do that. That's a bit of a boundary for me. But I don't think he wants to, and I think he convinces himself, actually, I'm all right with that. No, actually, it's not a big deal. I want Sasha to be happy. I'll keep Sasha happy. And then it'll take one little thing and it's like, bang. And then I'm like, whoa, where has that come from? And then that upsets me, and I think, right, this is unstable. I need to get out. Like, so I think Ross does just have some flaws, like myself.
Well,
that
everyone does.
yeah, of course, that maybe we could both work on emotional regulation.
You might lack emotional regulations, but you've got huge amounts of emotional intelligence for someone of 29.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Hasn't she?
She has. She
Masses.
has. She's lovely.
Love that.
Masses.
Right, goldfish bowl of truth
Just
time.
wanna get, just wanna get out of here.
Here it is, your fishbowl of truth, your favourite bit of the show.
Take a question
So,
each.
Sasha, you take a question.
Right.
You don't have to. We can all answer it. You're not going to be left hanging. If
Okay.
you don't want to answer it at all, you don't have to.
Well, is it that bad? Sometimes
No,
people say
not at all.
no.
Not at
That's
all.
mad.
So no, because
Yeah.
sometimes.
Mine's a big one.
What's yours?
Okay, mine says, what date do you still think about?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good for you.
Let me have a good think. Can we come back to me? Let me think.
Yeah, what's your
Okay.
What's a good? You went out with a count, didn't you?
I did. Oh, actually, this is what leads into it. What is your ideal first date? So, I got dumped after 17 years. I was heartbroken. Didn't realise that he'd been cheating for quite a few years, and took actually Laura, who you met from behind the scenes, I had to tell her about 3 months after it happened because I couldn't talk. Hadn't told anyone here that we weren't together. And met this guy who had paid for my dinner by the time over the lunch. He was standing waiting at the thing, and he said, pay for your dinner. I know who you are for various reasons. And he said, I know you don't know who I am, but would you like to come to the portrait gallery and see my friend who's hanging there? And I said, yeah. Laura went, you can't just go for some strange man at lunchtime. I went, could my life get any worse? If I'm not back by 6 o'clock,
Could it get any worse?
call
But it
the
could.
police. Right? I'm going to the portrait gallery. And he turned out not only to be amazing, a French count, although, as he pointed out very funnily, they have abolished the French aristocracy. You do know it's only a title, it's not a real thing. And he took me, my first Christmas that I can't tell you how much I was dreading being on my own, not having expected it, he took me to Miami. So he really was my ideal first date.
Well, mine ain't as good as that. Miami.
You know, that's what you say. Karma, God sorts it out, whatever.
Yeah.
I felt at the time I was treated so badly that I deserved that.
Yeah, of course, absolutely, 100%.
You know, it didn't last. We were together for 5 years. I'm
Oh,
still
you had a
friends
good
with him.
go.
Still friends, good friends with him. He's a charming, wonderful man. Deserves somebody much nicer than me. But yeah, it was an ideal date. Yes, absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cute.
I've got this question. Are you ready? How close to a breakdown or a depression has a split brought you? I have definitely been very, very, very broken after a...
Really?
Yeah, very broken.
Because you were not expecting it, or you've been together for a long time?
Well, actually, so after I left my first husband, I was in I don't know how to describe it, a kind of half in, half out relationship.
Situationship.
I was in a situationship. But I think because, and at the time, I'd also lost a friend to suicide, and I'd been diagnosed with breast cancer. So all those three things kind of came at once, and I was reeling. And I think I sort of clung on to this situationship and put more emotional effort into it than maybe I should have done. And then he kept sort of saying, you know, I kind of can't commit. And when the final cut came, I was absolutely devastated. But it was absolutely the making of me, because at that point I thought, right, you're on your own, you've got 3 small children, you've got a brand new career, just throw yourself in. But I do remember thinking, gosh, all those thoughts of like, what's the point? You know, it hurt that much that I really questioned everything for a short amount of time.
George Michael does a MTV Unplugged where he just sang acoustic, you know, just with some backing singers. And he sings a Dolly Parton song, I Can't Make You Love Me. But he does his George Michael. But the lyrics to that typifies when you split up with somebody. Just lay down in bed with me for one last night. We'll just pretend that we're still together, but I know you're going to leave me in the morning. And it's so sad.
Yeah.
But it typifies how you feel when a relationship's breaking down. When you're still in love with them.
Yeah. Well, you've still got some sort of hope for it, even though you kind of know deep down.
Yeah. That's why you pretend.
Oh, it's all a bit deep.
Yeah, very deep.
Better than Count Dracula. Have you ever been asked out by someone of the same sex? Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
What did you do?
Took it as a compliment, but not interested. But I don't take it any more than like, somebody fancies you. That's great, isn't it?
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
you know,
I've been flirted with by the same sex, but never asked out.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
just think they know I'm straight, so
Yeah, I've had some flirtations,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
maybe just testing the
That's
water.
even more catnip for some people.
Yeah, some people like straight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what was your question?
So my question was, what date do you still think about? And I'm actually it's actually quite boring, but I'd say when I was 18, I got with my first boyfriend, and he was like the first boy to ever like take me out on dates. He was pretty much like, even at that age, he was very much a provider. Like he was raised to like, you always pay for the girl and like stuff like that. And he took me to the ballet because I said I like the ballet, really not his thing, but because he just wanted me to be happy, he took me to the ballet. And I just remember on my way back, this was before we was together actually, so he was trying to win me over, and it was the first time I really had someone pursue me. I always say that he set the bar for how I should be treated in relationships, and that I should be pursued and, you know, took on dates and stuff like that. So that's why I'd say that's the one date I'll never forget, because that's how I should be treated when someone wants to get my interest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with that as a man as well.
Yeah.
Actually, there's something to work towards, and it's not a prize, but it's something that you value.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
And on that bombshell, thank you both for coming in.
Yeah. Just wanna get out of here. Woke up feeling
So next week, we're joined by My Mum, Your Dad's Vicky Davis. She explains why she was brave enough to leave it up to ITV to find her a boyfriend. And we find out how it's going with David.
coming